announcers on the all-new Sirius XM app.
They celebrate at home plate.
And talk baseball every day with our team of former players and executives on MLB Network Radio, Channel 89.
There's just something about opening day of the Major League Baseball season.
To listen to MLB Network Radio, activate your radio now. Call 844-711-8800 or head to SiriusXM.com/go to sign up quickly. D-Fan, you just found the promised land. Hear rare interviews and performances. Live concerts.
Is there anybody alive out there?
Celebrity guest DJs.
This is Rob Lowe. Hey, baby, it's Little Steven here.
And more exclusives when listening to Bruce Springsteen's channel.
Welcome, Bruce Springsteen, to E Street Radio. You're home away from home.
Great to be here.
To hear Sirius XM's E Street Radio, activate your radio now. Call 844-711-8800 or go to SiriusXM.com.
SiriusXM Video lets you watch your favorite SiriusXM shows on the SiriusXM app. Groundbreaking interviews, amazing in-show moments, behind-the-scenes footage, live performances, all come to life in a way you only imagined before. Plus, you can create your own personalized Pandora station based on the artists you love. And hear over 100 extra channels filled with ad-free music for every mood or occasion. Get your first 6 months of our Platinum plan for only $8.33 per month, plus fees and taxes. Just call 844-711-8800 to take advantage of this amazing offer.
A 16 has beaten a 1.
Search March Madness to hear Westwood One's coverage of all the games.
Holy smokes, what a play!
Plus pre- and post-game shows and get analysis on basketball and beyond with Coach K. Get radio channels for your games at SiriusXM.com/sports or search March Madness on the all-new SiriusXM app.
There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, that's nice. Okay. There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, that's nice. Okay.
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at EquityZoneMortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast. License number 0181486.
Rondo Deportes, Bonjour, Vidi Vidi Vici. Let's get ready to rumble. Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to me and people who love the universe, and that includes you. What a beautiful day. Wednesday, March 27th, 2024. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them sit ya where the good Lord split you. It's the only driving a fleet of Cadillac cars all over the universe. You can follow Big C Sports Podcast on 29 podcast applications and streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. But you better have a smart TV, or you might be sitting there looking at a still picture. What I tell you, I love today's show. A lot going on. I gotta open up with an apology. I said last night I won $1.1 billion in the what's called the Mega Millions. Well, I lied. It's not that I lied. It's just I was off a little bit. You ever been off a little bit trying to make a jump shot? But tonight, what did Two Live Crew say? Tonight's the night. Give me some praise. It's gonna be all right. I think I picked all the winning numbers in the Powerball. I mean, like this, right? I think I did, and that's my story. I'm sticking with it. I want to say, as I tell you with Big C Sports Podcast, I got some stuff to talk about today. You know, the presidents are sending out donation slips. I'm asking for a reparation slip. That's fine. At the same time, tonight's Powerball that I won is $865 million. And I already claimed it first. I'm not going to lie to you this time. I already claimed it, if that makes sense to you. I do have some stuff to talk about that comes to gambling. The NCAA president, Charlie Baker, you know, they're pushing to ban prop betting. Why would they ban prop betting, Big C? Because there are times when a team is favored by 5 and they're up by 8 and there's 1 minute left in the game and they have a couple of turnovers and now they don't lose by 5, they lose by 4. That's called prop betting. They want to get rid of prop betting, but they don't want to get rid of the TV money that comes in from the gaming industry. That makes no sense to me, but all's fair level work. Got some more stuff to talk about with United States Paralympic Medical Assistance Program. Also, I love talking about the RDC team, and I'll get into that. Baseball's right around the corner. We got runners on first and third. The pitch, curveball, swallowed, hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home run! Say hello to my little friends. They say the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. Got Major League Baseball throwing the first pitch tomorrow. All's fair in 11 war. But I got something that I got to admit to you because I do love Big C Sports Podcast. I want to tell you there's so much that I love. But I got to tell you, I produce the show. I direct the topics. I broadcast all the shows. I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We could all use more laughter. And I know I can use more laughter. And then I'm telling you, the commercials are done. The stats are provided. I even do the storytelling. And as I told you, I do the play-by-play. Runners on first and third. That counts for the pitch. Fastball, swung, hit deep. Center field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friends. I love saying the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. And I've heard that. Birdie told me it's not just me telling you that. I've heard that people go to the baseball games because they want to see the home run. Nobody goes to a baseball game so they can see somebody walk. Nobody wants to see you walk. That's why I love bringing you Big C Sports Podcast. I want to make sure that we bring you everything you want. I also want to say with Big C Sports Podcast, I really love the fact that I give out the PSA for the Veterans Crisis Hotline. I do it on every show because they really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. You know, anybody going through issues, sometimes we just need somebody to lean on. And the Veterans Crisis Hotline, they make sure that our veterans have somebody to lean on. And that's what I love doing the Big C Sports. I give them praise. I say give them praise. If you know anybody going through issues, they will stand on their head to get our veterans some help. 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And they will do everything they can to get our veterans some help. And that's worth a praise. I say it's worth a praise. As we get ready to praise everybody for trying to get our veterans some help, it's not just for veterans, too. It's for anybody going through issues. And you know, sometimes it's hard for people to say, I need help. And that's why I love giving out that Veterans Crisis Hotline. You don't have to deal with it on your own, especially in today's times. A lot of people are going through issues, and I want to make sure with Big C Sports, I don't pretend that everything is great for everybody. All's fair and love and war. I do want to say I went to a meeting that I had the other day on the phone, and I was telling some people that I'm trying to work on a commercial for Big C Sports Podcast. And I know I do my commercials live. I don't have it in the studio where I'm scripting things. When I make the cut, you hear me make the cut. When I make a mistake, you hear me make a mistake. I don't hide it and do 26 takes before I can say, okay, I'm going to keep number 27. So I'm starting this commercial, and it's called How Do You Protect and Preserve and Transfer Your Wealth. It's a guide to protect your assets. So I'm going to just play along with me. Knock, knock. Who's there? Who? I can't remember. Excuse me, had a sneeze there. If you've ever dealt with anybody who can't remember, excuse me, the allergy season is really kicking in. You understand a lot of former NFL players, they have what's called CRS. That's why they need the RDC team, because we learn to help you protect your assets. And if you're the kind of person, and everybody knows this kind of person exists somewhere in your relationship, you have people that say they can't remember shit. Excuse me, I have my sneezes, my allergies are picking up. So that's part of my commercial. If you ever deal with somebody and they can't remember shit, excuse me, I'm sneezing, they might need the RDC team. Give that some praise, because we do have a guy to protect, preserve, and transfer wealth. RDC Consulting, the missing link with the law offices of Scott Thibodeau and George Jones. We have the missing link, long-term care solutions by the book, over 3 decades of experience helping seniors get their benefits. Also, we use Medicare, long-term care planning, and in California it's called Medi-Cal. Your family can avoid the spend down for nursing home costs in California. You can find out your options. And our promise to you, especially for you guys who can't remember, excuse me, my goodness, allergies kicking at the right time, or maybe the wrong time. Are you talking about that gap insurance, Big C? No, I'm not talking about gap insurance. That's what the duck. We don't put ducks in our commercials. We eat ducks for dinner, if that makes sense to you. If you have CRS, and you know anybody suffering from CRS, well, what is CRS, Big C? It's for guys who can't remember. Oh my God. I have a speech impediment, and some people say I don't talk fast enough. But if you, like me, and sometimes you just can't remember, like you can't remember where you put your car keys, you can call 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. We'll make sure we help you protect your assets, because we specialize to navigate and maximize long-term care benefits, protection of your assets without the spend down. All paperwork and communication with all government agencies are handled by our staff of entitlement specialists. Ongoing consulting to provide updates as necessary. Benefits covering skilled nursing facilities, prescriptions, medical equipment costs, and more. You know anybody dealing with skilled nursing facilities? Do you know anybody dealing with that? Do you know anybody dealing with prescriptions? They got to take their prescriptions, and they got to take their prescriptions every day. Do you know anybody dealing with that? We deal with that. We help people solve those problems. If you know anybody dealing with skilled nursing, we can deal with that with the RDC team. If you also know protection of your assets, we deal with that too. We make sure we protect all of it. At the same time, including your home, thereby allowing you got to really understand this, to leave a legacy for your family. Because if you don't, the government would take it. It's called probate. It could be called a different kind of bait, but for the sake of a family show, we'll call it probate. Because they will probate your assets, if that makes sense to you, if you don't have a trust. Avoid the nightmare of debt brought by the government's estate recovery program. Can be 10 to 40% and a one-time processing fee versus monthly insurance premiums for the rest of your life. Now, I told you I'm trying to make a commercial. What else do we call the Big C team and RDC, Big C? I'm glad you asked. Protection of your assets. Insurance cover required by law. General liability, workers' compensation. We have lawyers specializing in living trust, Medicaid or Medi-Cal planning for long-term care. Avoid probate. We offer life insurance. What else do you offer, Big C? I'm glad you asked. Fixed assets, bank account, checking account, savings account, money market accounts, certificates of deposit, life insurance with cash values, fixed index annuities. What else do you offer, Big C? Variable assets, real estate, qualified money, IRA, 401k, and other investments. Attention business owners, find out your other options to protect what your insurance does not cover. Also, when you think about if you're dealing with people who have CRS, and that means you can't remember her shit. Excuse me, these allergies are really kicking my butt. I'm going to try and say it one more time. If you know anybody that has CRS, CRS stands for can't remember her shit. If you know anybody who can't remember her shit, you call 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. I hear they had a medication for it. You give that some praise. You know, I want to say also, why do people deal with the RDC team? Because of the endorsements. Oh, I just had an epiphany. There's so many people that come to you and they want to sell you something. Our endorsements are Mr. George Jones, attorney and chairman of the California Black Chamber of Commerce, the California Black Chamber of Commerce Foundation, Mr. Leon Woods, resource development consultant, works with some of the top lobbyists in California. We have Mrs. Cheryl Brown. She's the chair of the California Commission on Aging. Mr. Ray De La Cruz, CEO of Resource Development Consulting, been doing this thing over 33 years. Mr. Alex De La Cruz, founder of American Veterans Benefits. And also, you have Big C, Charlton Curry, business development consultant. And based on that, not only that, why would you choose the RDC team with the Big C? We have endorsements from civil rights leaders and also the United States Department of, I won't say it this time because it's still in the work, but there's a lot of people that endorse what we're doing. Solutions by the book. Lyndon Baines Johnson wrote it in the law of civil rights back in 1966. By his side was the great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And we have those endorsements from people. That's why you got to give it some praise. Give it praise, praise, praise. So when somebody says, we got a plan for you, and sometimes you can't remember, shit! Remember, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. We have guys to help you protect and preserve your assets. That's why the RDC team. So hopefully you've liked my commercial. You've even heard me with the commercial. I don't redact anything. I don't do outtakes, but I do want to give some praise to Barbara Woodridge. She called me today with Reverend Amy C. Brown asking for a package of information that we're getting together for him. And that's what I can say I love so much about the Big C team. It's not just me. Everybody has an opinion as to why you should work with them. But there are people who are actually calling saying, Big C, what is it about that trust? Can you tell me more about the trust? Well, I'm telling you, it's Solutions by the book. And I love doing that with Big C Sports. And that's why I want to say, you want to give that some praise, give it praise. I love what I'm doing with Big C Sports Podcast. I want to thank PNC Private Bank, proud sponsors of Big C Sports Podcast. I want to thank T-Mobile, proud sponsors of Big C Sports Podcast. And I also want to say there's so many things I want to do as far as giving thanks. I think I might be the only sports show in the universe that will pay homage to the California Reparations Task Force on every show because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. And I'm doing my part with that. So when I say that, I don't just mean to say it. I mean to give them public recognition. I want to thank the chair, Attorney Camila Moore. She's brilliant. I want to thank Dr. Amos C. Brown, the vice chair. He's brilliant. He was on Big C Sports last week. Just talked to his office today as they gave me a call, making sure that I get them the package coming out to them. Also, California Senator Stephen Bradford. He's brilliant. Had many conversations with him. I want to thank Councilmember Monica Montgomery Steppe. She's brilliant. I really do appreciate her. I want to thank Assembly Member Reginald Jones Sawyer. He's brilliant. I really do appreciate him. I want to thank Dr. Shell Grills. She's brilliant. I appreciate her. I want to thank Attorney Lisa Holder, part of the California Reparations Task Force. She's brilliant. She's also in charge of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and she's just a great lawyer. I want to thank Dr. Javon Scott Lewis, also professor at California Berkeley. He's brilliant. Really do appreciate him. I want to thank Attorney Donald K. Tamaki, part of the California Reparations Task Force. He's brilliant. Really do appreciate him. I want to give them all praise. Give them praise. I want to thank Double O, part of the PAC Committee for the National Black Wall Street Project, has her own show called Economic Awareness. Let's eat. She sent me Executive Order 13985 on further advancing equity and support for underserved communities. That's through the federal government. That's the White House President Biden, his first item that he signed into law when he was inaugurated last year. Also, I want to thank Double O. PAC Committee for the National Black Wall Street Project has her own economic awareness talk show called Let's Eat. She sent me this article from the United Nations. It says strong political leadership and political will are crucial to ensure reparatory justice for descendants of child slavery. And I want to give them all praise. Got to give them all praise. There's so much that I love about doing Big C Sports. What makes you credible to do Big C Sports and politics? Well, I'm glad you asked. The Associated Press, they called me, they interviewed Big C Sports about reparations. The article went all over the world. It was March 30, 2023. It was picked up by NBC News, CBS News, Fox News, ABC News. It says Charlton Curry of Sacramento, California, who discusses reparations on his Big C Sports podcast, says that cash payments are necessary and that money talks. That's the Associated Press. You know, they vet who you are before they do an article on you that goes all over the world because it speaks to their credibility. Well, they realize that I don't shuck and jive. Everything I say is factual. If you can't Google what I say, then don't listen to me. But I say do the same thing to everybody else that's telling you something, if that makes sense to you. I also want to say, if you Google AB 3121, you can get the latest on the information about reparations in California. Also, Google SB 490, Senate Bill 490. It's by California Senator Stephen Bradford, working to create Freedmen's Bureau in California. That's the bank that's honored to pay out reparations for descendants of chattel slavery. Just like the United States government paid out land. They gave away land, over 300 million acres in 1862, called the Homestead Act. You can Google it, but you have to be white or white Europeans. They would not do it if you're African American. So the people that say, "Oh, we don't want to do reparations, it's too divisive," it's a lot less divisive than the Homestead Act that excluded black people. It's a lot less divisive than the GI Bill that excluded black soldiers. Because reparations is about repairing a harm that was done to American citizens, called African Americans. I don't know who could be against that. And everybody knows, if you have a will and a trust, if you're the beneficiary of a life insurance policy, is it divisive when it comes time to pay out the claim on the life insurance policy that the money goes to the beneficiary? Is that divisive when a life insurance policy pays out and the money lists you as the beneficiary? Is that divisive if you get the money? It's not divisive. Is it divisive when you go to work, you put in the hours, you put in the time, and the boss man says, the boss man has a check for you? When you get your check and you take it to the bank and cash it, is that divisive? It's not divisive. Is it divisive when somebody says that you have won $865 million in the Powerball Big C, and I go to get my money? Is that divisive? It's not divisive. The only time people say it's divisive is when descendants of child slavery are coming to get what's due. It's not divisive. Is it divisive for descendants of child slavery, of black Americans, to get paid? Then it should also be divisive when you go to cash your check from the work you've done. When land is bequeathed down from generation to generation to the beneficiaries of the landholder or the bank account holder, if you getting your money is divisive, then give it all back. Nobody gives it back. If the United States government gives you 300 million acres of land through the Homestead Act of 1862, if that's divisive, then give it all back. But you know they're not going to give it back. They're going to keep it because it was given to them. And that's what reparations is to repair the harm that was not given to descendants of child slavery. Give that some praise if you have common sense. If you don't have common sense, just say, and that's divisive. It's not divisive. And if you can't remember, shit! You may have CRS and you need 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624, and the RDC team can help you. You got to get that some praise. If you can't remember shit, if you have CRS syndrome, and a lot of people have it, it's called I can't remember shit. 800-772-8624. Get your affairs in order before you get to the point where you have CRS and you can't remember shit. Excuse me. These allergies are really kicking my butt. Well, that's my story. That was sticking with it. I love giving that praise. You know, I want to talk about something that happens in sports because it happens in a lot of things. I got a text. It came to me and it said, "Hi, it's President Clinton." It says President Biden, President Obama, and I have some great times together. Now we're offering you one last chance to join us to spend the evening with the presidents. This time through the special virtual event, just Joe's grassroots supporters. When you chip in $25. I was just saying yesterday how I was chipping in $25 at gambling when I was younger. I would gamble $25, but I wouldn't go more than $25. They call me a big spender. It says you chip in $25 right now, you'll get a chance for a personal link to join us tomorrow, and it says, what are you waiting for? Donate now. And as I say to those same people, when I talk to all of our presidents, I ask them the same thing, and I'm very serious about it. President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation into law. And for all of our presidents that refuse to sign reparations into law, I ask the same thing. What are you waiting for? President Lincoln already told you that descendants of child of slavery are due money. And that's amazing that the presidents are asking for money for whatever they're asking for, but they haven't signed reparations into law yet. Well, I think you should. That's my opinion. I'm sticking with it. I want to get into what I love about sports. Sports is a $1 billion industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this $1 billion industry, and that's what I love about it. So the NCAA, we know we're in March Madness, and this could also be relatable to professional sports. So NCAA President Charlie Baker, would you believe he pushes to ban prop betting because they feel that there's a lot of gambling that goes on that they don't want to deal with. So the NCAA, they're encouraging individual states to ban what they call proposition bets involving college athletes to fall in a string of gambling scandals that are spanning a variety of sports, with plans to engage with the states where the prop bets are legal. The NCAA is taking aim at wagering aimed at a certain, you got to think about this, statistic or player, which can make them especially vulnerable to outside influence. You can watch the movie He Got Game about 2 decades ago by Spike Lee, written and produced by Spike Lee, and the actor was the great Denzel Washington, and also Ray Allen, who played Jesus Shuttleworth, and he played basketball at Big State. And they had these athletes, and they were being tampered with by the good old boys who don't play straight. They don't play fair. Because it's real. You don't know if they can get to a player saying you guys are favored to win this game by 8 points. When you're up by 12 points with 1 minute to play, make sure you have a couple of turnovers so the team can score, and then they will cover the spread. Maybe you end up winning by 6 points. You can't tell me that hasn't happened. I've seen it happen many, many times. Missing a free throw leaves the game with an injury can ultimately swing major sums of money. There have also been athletes who've been threatened. This is real talk. I keep it real in Big C Sports. There are rumors and stories of athletes being threatened because they were up by 8 with about 20 seconds left, and the point spread was 7. And a good old boy dribbles down and gets a slam dunk with 3 seconds left, and therefore they don't cover the spread. Could be called a prop bet. And because the spread was not covered, a lot of money switched hands that was going to be paid out. What are you talking about, Big C? What's that mean? When you pay attention to games and you wonder, this team is up by 11 points and the point spread is 10. There might be a few seconds left in the game, and good old boy dribbles down and makes a basket with about 3 seconds left on the clock. And that money changes hands. At the same time, you can say, well, why are they dribbling out the clock when there's 25 seconds left and they're up by 7, and the opposing team not trying to foul and try to create some type of turnover to keep playing? Why don't they just let the guy dribble out the clock and there's 25 seconds still going? Why would you just stop playing defense and try to force a turnover? Because the prop betting. Now they cover the spread. Oh, Big C, you must be out of your fucking mind. The great Spock, if that makes sense to you. Well, things can happen that way. So the NCAA, they're telling you there's a rise in this country, as I talked about yesterday, with prop betting continuing to threaten the integrity of competitions and leading a student athlete or professional athletes getting harassed. NCAA President Charlie Baker said in a statement that the NCAA has been working with states in the country to deal with these threats, and many are responding by banning college prop bets. And this week, contacting officials across the country in states that still allow these bets, and they're asking them to join Ohio, Vermont, Maryland, and many others, and remove college prop bets from all betting markets. Now, President Baker continued that the NCAA is trying to draw the line on sports betting to protect student athletes and to protect the integrity of the game. In issues across the country these last several days, it shows there's a lot more work to be done. Now, we've all heard in Major League Baseball, LA Dodgers' great pitcher, the great Shohei Ohtani, he had a friend that allegedly gambled over $4.5 million. And the stories have changed. One story said that he said the great Shohei Ohtani was going to cover the bet, which is illegal. And then when the attorneys got involved, they said that the money was stolen. So different stories. Different strokes for different folks. So it's easily the most aggressive advocacy statement against gambling that President Baker has made since taking over in March 2023. You got to keep that in mind, because if you let the sports industry get corrupted, and you have guys, you can Google it. I don't want to name any names here, because there's some guys who've actually gone to jail and some officials who've gone to jail because of shenanigans in sports. But if the shenanigans are so bad, why are the leagues still willing to take money from the gaming industry, but they're telling athletes don't deal with it? Just keep that in mind. You got to keep in mind that Mark Emmert, his predecessor, they allowed it into the business, into sports. But Baker is a longtime politician and accepted the role as the outgoing governor of Massachusetts, a Commonwealth. Now, Baker has quickly leveraged his political connections since taking the job, and then taking repeated trips and testifying in front of Congress. You know, that same Congress that should be focused on reparations? That Congress. And this stance, however, comes days after Toronto Raptors forward Deontay Porter was placed under investigation by the NBA for prop betting irregularities. Oh, Big C, what are you talking about? Well, I'm glad you asked. It was during a January, think about this, 26th game against the LA Clippers, that Porter, a minor contributor, was one of the most bet-on players of the night. And he left the game after 4 minutes. Meaning that all of the unders, they cashed in. So the NCAA, this is all allegations, but the NCAA has seen repeated issues with gambling irregularity over the past year as more states legalize the sports wagering industry. Now keep this in mind if you don't think it's a big deal. Alabama coach Brad Bonahan was fired and slapped with a 15-year show cause after allegedly giving away inside information to gamblers. You wonder how somebody pulls a hitch and is giddy up in a game, how someone has back spasms in a game and can't play, how someone can't shoot a free throw if his life depended on it in a game. You wonder how someone how do you dribble the ball out of bounds? There was no one on him. Or someone throws a full court pass, trying to connect a full court pass as opposed to dribbling the ball up the court, and the ball goes out of bounds. I mean, you see these things in sports. March Madness is here. Or someone has CRS, and they can't remember, they can't remember, and they throw the ball to the wrong player on the other team. So the gentleman was slapped with a 15-year show cause after allegedly giving away inside information to gamblers. Temple basketball is also under investigation. Temple basketball in Philadelphia? Yes, and Temple basketball is also under investigation. Investigation for what, Big C? By a watchdog firm called United States Integrity. Several Iowa and Iowa State players were previously suspended for gambling. Oh, Big C, I don't believe that. Well, you can Google it, including several on their own team. Watch the movie He Got Game. Many years ago, produced and written by the great Spike Lee, and one of my favorite actors, the great Denzel Washington. You gotta know this stuff is real. We gotta give people the benefit of the doubt when they come under any allegation. The great Shohei Ohtani, they're willing to throw his former friend and also interpreter under the bus, saying that he stole the money. After his friend said that Shohei Ohtani agreed to pay off his $4 million gambling debt. It's illegal in the United States to do that. You can't bet on sports. So when people say, well, it's just betting and it's just filling out the sports bracket, there are people in the underworld, they don't play fair. It's not like when I won $865 million at the Powerball tonight. Some of these guys, they don't play fair. They play for keeps. So keep in mind when people are betting on games, it just makes you wonder why the NCAA is cracking down on it, and I just told you why. Because some people can get hurt if they're dealing with the wrong people, or sometimes people may be coerced into fixing the game. And that affects the integrity of the game. But that's like a parent saying, I'm going to put a lot of water in this dirt in the backyard, going to create a mud pile. But tell the children don't go outside and play in the mud. But you're the one that created the mud pile, NCAA. Think about that. If you created the mud pile, of course kids might go play in it. So whatever it takes, if you want to get gambling out of sports, you got to get the gaming industry out of sports. There's a reason that the NFL, they have an injury report for every game. Why did I tell you who's hurt, Big C? Well, I'm glad you asked. Because it lets the gaming industry know which way the game may or may not go. When guys go down with an injury, or they're unable to perform, they're on the injured list. If the gaming industry knows that, that helps them dictate the point spread. Because maybe the NCAA is correct in trying to ban prop betting. We've heard of players in the past that bet on sports, and maybe some guys have been suspended or even banned from the league. We know that exists. There's a lot of money in this business. And there are people who don't play fair. And they try to protect people. There's another great movie that I love when it comes to betting on sports. It's called Focus by Will Smith, and Margaret Robbie were in there. And I think Gene Hackman was also in the movie called Focus. It was about people that throw games. You say, oh, I don't believe people throw games, Big C. Well, watch the movie Focus and you'll see. They did a great job as to how some things can happen, how some guys can pull a hamstring, or someone has back spasms and they can't complete the game. I mean, injuries do happen in sports. But some things, like Arsenio Hall said, it make you go, Just keep that in mind when somebody pulls a hamstring or they twist an ankle, and it changes the point spread. It changes everything in the game. And they got to keep it out of the game. But if they're going to keep it out of the game, wouldn't you think they would like to take out of the game also getting money from the gaming industry? They're never going to do that. They let the owners get the money. And the owners, they can tell the player that we're going to have to let you go. We're going to go in a different direction. And so there are times when we think, well, why is someone going to throw a game because there's so much money in the sport? They're making a lot of money. Not everybody's making $20 million, $30 million a year, $40 million for some guys. Some guys are just making $1 million or $2 million. And the bookie world might say, like what just happened up in Toronto, they may say, listen, you're only making $2 million, but if you do what we ask you to do, maybe, just maybe, here's an extra $100,000 in a paper bag. We know that. We know that happens, and they're trying to get that part out of the business. And I don't blame it for trying to get that part out of the business, because you don't know if they're playing for keeps or not. And sometimes in this business, because the money's so big, you don't know if somebody's going to be had. You don't know if somebody's going to be touched by someone saying that they need you to take a fall. And again, one of my favorite movies that talks about betting on sports is called Pulp Fiction. And as I said, the great Quentin Tarantino produced that movie, and he could probably have his mouth washed out with soap for the number of times they use a certain word that I won't use on BC Sports Podcast. But it had the great Ben Rames, as his name was Marcellus Wallace. It also had Sam Jackson. It had John Travolta and Bruce Willis and Uma Thurman. And before the big fight, they had a scene. and they had Isaac Hayes music playing in the background, I believe. And Vin Rames was talking to Bruce Willis. He said, Bruce, come out and let me talk to you about some things. And Bruce Willis needed some money. So Vin Rames told him, he said, boxing filled with a lot of unrealistic muddly bluckers who think that butt gets better with fine wine, but it don't. If you want to get this money, there's some things I need you to do. And I'm paraphrasing. And he held this wad of money in front of Bruce Willis. And he said, your butt goes down in the 5th round. He said, say that, blip. And then Bruce Willis said, okay, my butt goes down in the 5th round. And he said, you're going to thank Uncle Wallace by the time this is all over when you chilling in the Caribbean. And he said, that stinging sensation you feeling right now, well, that's just pride blubbing with you. And then Ben Rames said something that was one of the best cinematic scenes I've ever seen in a movie. He said, blub, pride. He said, pride only hurts. It never helps. He said, are you my blubbity blub blub? And Bruce Willis said, it appears so. And that was a movie, but it was based on realism. And I know people who've been offered money to have their butt go down in the 5th round. But we know it's in the game. I was talking to a famous fighter. I won't mention his name, but he told me a true story. And there's a famous boxing promoter, and I won't say his name, but he said he had 2 contracts for his fighters. I said he had 2 contracts for his fighters. Why would he need 2 contracts for his fighters? And he said one of the contracts is for the fighters that actually have a lawyer, and the other contract is for the fighters that don't have a lawyer. Some guys tried to negotiate the fight for themselves. Think about that when you watch the next sporting event. There are people who get taken because the money's so big, and oftentimes they do what they got to do to get the money, or they may do it because they're under threat by some good old boys. So I want to just say, for all the athletes out there going through issues, it may seem like you have a limelight, but when a lot of people know who you are, people come after you. I won't get into the story, but there's a famous entertainer whose properties were just raided on the West Coast and East Coast. I won't even get into it, but there are times when you have a lot, your assets are exposed. And there are times people come after you. I don't know if it's real or not, allegations. You can Google it if you want to, but I'll stay away from that if that makes sense to you. But also when it comes to estate planning, which is what we do with the RDC team in Big C Sports, if you're a professional athlete or an average person, 9-to-5 worker, if you're part of the clergy, even if you're part of the military, you still got to learn to protect your assets. And that's what we offer with the RDC team. Estate planning for professional athletes, the clergy, and even military. We all need it. But the playbook for success on and off the field had a lot of success over this last couple of weeks, talking to people in banking, also insurance, even military. But for athletes, why 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624 is so valuable. Professional athletes are not strangers to the limelight, but beyond the enthusiastic cheers of touchdown, home run, 3-point play, oh man Willie, he's gone all the way. The late great Bill King, former Oakland A's and the Oakland Raiders broadcaster. The cheers of the fans lies the need for careful planning that extends far beyond their playing days. Estate planning can easily be forgotten amid the hustle and bustle of a rigorous training schedule and a busy sports season. In the articles that you'll hear about athletes going through issues, looking at the unique considerations that professional athletes should consider when crafting a comprehensive estate plan and understanding the game of estate planning involves more than just the drafting of a last will and testament. A proper estate plan creates an overall strategy to manage the professional athlete's hard-won assets. You hear about the great Shohei Ohtani going through the loss of $4.5 million. And they deal with this during their lifetime. A well-drafted plan It also ensures a smooth transition of assets to the athlete's loved ones in the event of an injury or following the tragic loss of life for some of the athletes. Professional athletes, their income streams, investments in intellectual properties, and property ownership are oftentimes very, very complex. Over the course of one's career, an athlete may move frequently, acquiring assets in different jurisdictions, differing laws along the way in different states. They may also experience significant and volatile swings of their financial athletes get sued a lot. Sometimes paternity tooths. Some guys are stupid. They'll sleep with every woman that opens her legs for them in different cities and different states. And everything that opens up for you ain't good for you. Women deal with the same thing. Some women lay down with any guy because he looks good to her. They're professional athletes that get taken also. Entertainers, they get swindled out of money. Everything that looks good for you ain't always good to you, if that makes sense to you. So they need someone to help them protect and preserve their assets. They may also experience significant swings in income. Estate planning is important. So due to the dynamic lifestyle of professional athletes and entertainers, I just told you about a professional entertainer that's under a lot of scrutiny on the East Coast and West Coast for allegations. If that makes sense to you. Because people come after you when they know you have a lot of assets. You gotta learn to protect it. So it's vital that professional athletes and entertainers collaborate with the tax professionals, financial advisors, and estate planners who have experience handling the ever-changing and unique planning needs, especially with over 3 decades of experience and also the great endorsements by people in high authority. That's why the Big C team, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624 has been coming more and more. I've been getting more and more phone calls from people asking me, Big C, what is all this asset protection you're talking about? Especially for a lot of athletes, they're dealing with CRS because of sometimes they get CTE playing sports and they can't remember shit. Excuse me. I'm telling you, it's out there. And what we do with the Big C team, we try to protect people. And that's why asset protection is so important. And that's what I love working with the Big C team and RDC. So a last will and testament is certainly one of the most cornerstone of an estate plan. Most understand that wills can assist in outlining how your assets are distributed. And what many do not know is that wills can also designate guardians for minor children and appoint a trusted advisor as the executor to carry out the terms of the will. Now, trusts are an even more powerful tool for athletes and entertainers in protecting their assets. I'm telling you, I'm still making maybe my commercial should be an infomercial. But the trust provides much needed privacy. It minimizes taxes. It allows for tailored distribution of your assets to beneficiaries over time. The benefits of a trust are often critical for an athlete or entertainer or a person living in the mainstream, particularly if they have young children or heirs who require more financial guidance. 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. So the MVPs are the powers of attorney and healthcare directives. One of the most challenging hurdles that athletes must face is injuries. More than any client, creating advanced directives is one of the utmost importance for professional athletes who may face injury more regularly than someone working 9 to 5. And then designating an agent under a power of attorney, it ensures that a trusted person nominated by the professional athlete can manage the likely complicated financial affairs in the event that an injury or incapacity happens. But look at what just happened to the great Shohei Ohtani. He had a trusted advisor, his interpreter, who was alleged as stealing or misappropriating, allegedly, over $4.5 million. Who's going to protect his assets, if that makes sense to you? And unfortunately, the trusted advisor was accused of having CRS. What's CRS, Big C? I guess the accused advisor, he can't remember shit. Excuse me. These allergies are kicking my butt. But when the trusted advisor said that Shohei Ohtani was going to pay his gambling debts to a bookie, when an attorney got involved, allegedly, the trusted advisor who spent $4.5 million gambling. He can't remember shit. He has CRS. If that makes sense to you. So no matter where you are in life, there might be times when you have a fall, or may have an axial dent, or there are times when it's beneficial to you, after talking to a good attorney, that you can't remember shit. I think the late, great President Ronald Reagan, oftentimes he had CRS. He was told that he can't remember shit. He couldn't remember. He couldn't remember shit. Excuse me. These allergies are really kicking my butt. So if you ever deal with somebody in financial planning and they can't remember shit, excuse me, these allergies are kicking my butt, you need to call 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624 to try to get your financial affairs in order. So when it comes to designating a trusted advisor, you still got to know that trusted advisor, can you really trust them? You got to have your stuff put in a trust. You got to do that. Likewise, healthcare directives outline medical preferences and can empower a chosen individual to make medical decisions on behalf of the injured athlete or a person working 9 to 5. There are things that you learn dealing with the RDC team that I'll talk about more and more, but you got to understand what you get with Big C Sports. You got to give that praise. I love giving that praise. You got to protect the legacy, intellectual property considerations in athletes' brand, image rights, and related intellectual property. Your assets continue to generate income long after the playing days are over, including provisions in an athlete's estate plan that address how those assets achoo! These allergies are kicking my butt. But to protect how they are managed and protected is essential. Harnessing the intellectual property involves setting up the corporate structures to handle licensing and endorsement deals and ensuring a stream of income for the athlete's beneficiaries, all of which must be appropriately allocated to ensure an athlete's estate plan, and that's what the RDC team does. 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. If you know anybody in that situation, and you don't have to be an athlete, it could be someone dealing with CRS. What's CRS again, Big C? When you can't remember, achoo! Excuse me, these allergies are kicking my butt. I'm trying to make a commercial, and every time I talk about sometimes I can't remember, achoo! I have CRS 2. Not CRS 1, but CRS 2. Achoo! I can't remember, shoo! Oh my God, these allergies. I hope it makes sense to you. Sometimes men just can't remember things. But I do remember the winning numbers for tonight's Powerball. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I can remember that. You better believe it. I can remember that. Give that some praise. I love doing Big C Sports Podcast. I like having fun with you, but I love talking about reparations. And I'll go into it one more time. I got a text. It came from, I don't know if it really him or not, but I did get the text. I doubt if it was him. But it came from President Bill Clinton. And it's asking me to give $25. I said, $25? Do you know how expensive gasoline is? $25 used to fill up a tank. Now it's like a half a tank for $25. I need the government to give me $25 so I can buy a full tank of gas, if that makes sense. $25. You guys are putting money asking me for $25? I want them to give me $25 so I can get at least a half tank of gas. If that makes sense to you. I told you I had a dream that I won $865 million, and I believe that, and I'm going to stick with it. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. I want to also say that for people that believe that you should pay people when they do a hard day's work, I want you to know that I believe that you should also. And for people that fight against reparations for descendants of child slavery, remember that when someone gives you a check for your hard-earned labor. And even sometimes, if you misplace a check because you have CRS, what's CRS, Big C? It's when you can't remember achoo! Oh my God, these allergies are kicking my butt. If you've been diagnosed with having CRS, which means you can't remember shit. Excuse me, these allergies are kicking my butt. Are you talking about gap insurance, Big C? No, that's AFLAC. I'm talking about asset protection. But sometimes, even more so, is the reason why you need asset protection is because sometimes you can't remember shit. Oh my God, these allergies are kicking my butt. 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. If you can't remember, shit, give that some praise. But before we close out today's show, I'm so adamant about reparations. I want you to hear from one of the best speakers in the history of the universe about asset protection. So for Congress, when you think you can't remember, and you may have CRS, you can't remember, I want you to think about the greatest speaker in the history of the universe and what he said about paying reparations. You can't deny that the man spoke the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Listen up and tell me your thoughts. Listen up.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. This is what we are faced with, and this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
You got to give that some praise. I said you got to give that praise. I said give it praise. You got to know when Dr. King talked about coming to get our check, he was talking about liberty and justice for all. And for people to still deny that Dr. King was valid when he said that we come to get our check, because this government, this Congress, that asked me for $25 a day. President Biden, Bill Clinton, President Obama, they're on the campaign, and there's nothing wrong with asking for money. But people, they have CRS when it comes to what Dr. King talked about and President Abraham Lincoln. And what did Ronald Reagan used to always say? He said, I don't remember. What don't you remember, Ronald Reagan? He said, I don't remember. They couldn't remember they had CRS. Why do people claim they have CRS when it comes to reparations for descendants of child slavery? You know it's true. The money is owed because it's there to be repaired. But oftentimes people claim they have CRS when it comes to African Americans descendants of child slavery. And I want to say we have a cure for CRS. It's called reparations now. Reparations forever. And that will cure CRS, if that makes sense to you. I love always giving praise to my beautiful family. On my mother's side, my great-grandparents, my great-grandmother, my great-grandfather, and my grandparents, and on my mother and father's side. I can always depend on my mama, the most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. Started a Head Start program, a food program, and also coaching all boys Little League baseball team to the championship of the universe. The best person I ever met in my life. Love my mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. On my father's side, my beautiful father, former United States Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, always making sure planes can fly high so we can all stay safe at night. Really do appreciate my dad. Love my dad with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful brother Todd, with that bombastic voice, sound like thunder and lightning. On top and speak, always saying go forward. A voracious reader, love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful daughter Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. College graduate, 2 degrees with honors, and 3.5 years from a major university. Set up the first interview for Big C Sports Podcast. Daisy, you can be anything you want to be. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Always trust God. My beautiful, handsome son Malcolm, the most handsome son in the history of the universe. College student, very smart, erudite, a good man. Always trust God. Never let confusion enter your life. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Always trust God. Always help me set up saving trees. He said, Dad, why don't you just Google what you're looking for Big C Sports Podcast? He also helped me and said, you want to see Big C Sports on TV? I said, sure. He said, pick up the remote, aim it at the TV. You see your show come up. And I've been doing it now in 29 podcast platforms and 4 TV platforms. Malcolm, I love you with everything I have. Always trust God. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Then Big C, all that wealth and knowledge over the years, always saying you got to believe, you got to believe, you got to believe. Saying, let's get ready to rumble. I love to say welcome to the show. As we nominated Big C Sports Podcast. I have no scripts. I have no three-way teleprompters. I'm telling you, I love what I'm doing with Big C Sports Podcast. But that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. You know, baseball's throwing the first pitch tomorrow. March Madness also resumes Sweet 16 play tomorrow. But as I always tell you, if you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink, because mothers against drunk drivers are mad. And fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You could call Uber. You could call Lyft. You can walk it off, you can sleep it off, but don't let someone you love start drinking and get behind the wheel of a car and drive. The life you save may be your own. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. My beautiful mother always says there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. No man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. You know anybody going through that garbage, pick up the phone and call 911, because no one who loves you goes upside your head. No one who loves you, they choke you out. No one that loves you said, I'm only hitting you because you make me mad. Nobody should put up with that crap. Call 911. Things change when the police show up. No one should ever have to put up with that crap. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, as I always tell you on every Big C Sports show, I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super fantastic day. Well, hold on, Big C. What about paying homage to President Abraham Lincoln? I'm glad you asked. When the President Biden sent me a text to donate $25, let me remind you what President Abraham Lincoln said. He said, sign reparations now, sign reparations forever. Let's say it one more time so you can really hear it loud and clear when you ask me for $25. What did President Abraham Lincoln say? He said, sign reparations now, sign reparations forever. Let's say it one more time so you really get it. When you ask me for $25, remember what President Lincoln said. He said, sign reparations now, sign reparations forever. I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super